Hey guys, Bill Derry. I'm back with video 2. This is part 2 of a two-part series of videos for our SolidWorks course week 12. And what we're looking at here is another one of the assemblies that you might see on the CSWA exam. We are going to recreate this one just like we did with the last one, and I'm going to show you all the tricks that you might need to know to be successful. So let's get started. I've got a brand new assembly opened up with nothing placed in it yet. I'm calling it scissor assembly. I'm going to go to insert components. I now need to find that folder. Again, I remind you folks that you needed to download these folders from your OneDrive. They're in the folder that I shared with you, and it's called week 12, so you need to do that all prior to the start of this. I'm going to view these as large icons so that you guys can see what I'm selecting. Oops, I got some stuff in here that I don't need. The first part we want to pull in is always going to be labeled base. So I'm going to pull that one in first all by itself. And again, don't just randomly click. Instead, you want to go to the green check because that's going to assure that the origins line up the way they're supposed to. I'm going to go back to insert components again, and let's grab the rest of the parts. So I'm going to hold my control button down, and I'm going to select these items, and let's see if we have anything else in here. I think that's it. So it looks like we've got 4 more items to bring in. And again, once you're here, if you just click, and I'm clicking with the left mouse button, and I believe I brought in 4 items, so we've got all 4 of them and we're ready to go. So this is what it's going to look like when we're all done. So we're going to take this green cylinder here and this pink piston, and we're going to put these 2 items on to start. So let me minimize this guy, and we'll get started with these. Just like in the last video, whenever we have parts that have concentric mates, I like to start with those first. So I'm going to select this hole and select this hole, and we've got our concentric mate, but we're going to slide and put it on the other side. Again, try to match these things so that they look like in the picture. Don't kind of randomly put these together. This face right here now needs to get mated to this face. I'm going to lock those together and hit OK. I know I'm going kind of fast, but you can always slow the video down, rewind it, pause it, play it again, whatever you need to do. So we now need to take this guy and put this piston inside here and mate this guy up over here as well. So I am going to start with my left mouse button, my right mouse button, rotate this guy around and rotate this guy around and get them closer to being lined up. So again, I've got a concentric mate that would make sense first, so I'm going to take this guy and put it with this guy and hit OK. I want this thing to be coincident with this face, so we'll make those coincident. All right. And we're good to go here. Now, we know that this piece needs to slide and stay horizontal in this slot. And again, there are several different methods for doing these mates. And I'm going to take you through a couple of them. So let's take a look at a bit more advanced way of doing this. First, I'm going to take this bolt or pin and put it into this piston. So let's go ahead and grab our mate command again. And again, this is a concentric mate is where I would start. Lock those together. And just so this bolt doesn't slide out, because right now it can slide out, I'm going to just mate this face to this face on the bolt. So they're locked in there. Now right now this bolt is free to pass through this material, but we'd like it to stay in the slot. So there's a very specific mate that is designed just to do that. And if you go under mates and go down to mechanical mates, down here, you can pick the slot mate and you can simply select the bolt and select the slot and hit OK. And now notice that if we grab this guy, it's only going to go as far as that slot and stop. And that's really the best way to put this mate in here, right? Because it's going to stay in the slot. But let's say, you never went into that mechanical mate area before and you're not comfortable with that. What could you do that would get you by in this situation? Well, let's take another look at that. So we'll leave the bolt in there, but I'm going to remove the mate that I just put in there. Again, if you highlight and you view mates, I'm going to take that slot mate. Actually, I'm just going to suppress it so it'll act as if it doesn't exist at all. So now my part is free to move around again. What's another way to lock those things up again? Well, again, it's likely that the author put a plane right in the middle of that. So let's just take a look and see where that base part, where those planes fall. Okay, that works somewhat. Let's take a look at this. So if let's see where there's a plane in this guy. So that's our linkage piston. Where are the planes there? Oh, there's one that goes right through the center. So if we took this plane right here, that's right in the middle of that guy, right? And we go to mate. I've got the top plane of that guy. And what if I say I want that to stay parallel to one of these faces? Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so that happens to be, because this part is symmetrical, that happens to put it right smack dab in the middle. So I just made a parallel mate between the plane of this guy. Now the only thing different is this one can come out, but when we build the rest of this, it won't be able to do that anyway. So that would at least keep the pin in the middle of the slot, which is our goal. Again, it doesn't really matter which one we do. I'm going to go back and view mates, and I'm going to I'm going to reactivate my slot one, and then I'm going to suppress that one that is the parallel mate. Actually, I'll just delete it. All right, so best way is probably to do that mechanical mate. Let's keep rolling with this guy. We got to put the rest of this together. All right, so I'll remind you of what this looks like. We'll just open this guy up for a second. So we've got this side oh, I guess we should put a bolt in here as well. And then we're going to put this linkage on first coming up, and then this linkage on second, and we'll throw those bolts in there. So let's go ahead and get to that. All right, so the red linkage we'll throw on first, and then we'll throw those other bolts in there. So we need 2 of these red linkages. So if you remember, if you hold your control button down, we can do that. And we need a couple more of these bolts. So I'm holding my control button down and just clicking and dragging. Whoops, one more time. All right, so I have 3 bolts. Oops, I got an extra linkage there. I'll just delete one of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that guy on there. Again, I'm starting with my concentric mates. We'll put that on there to there. Got to grab my mate command first. And select that guy. Hit OK. Going to pull this up so it's out of the way. And I want to move this over so that this face, and again, I don't know if this is what's going to happen. If you get this part on the CSWA exam, don't assume that these mates are correct. There's going to be instructions associated with it, but the concept is going to be the same. So I'm going to pull this guy up here like this. Oops, I accidentally made another one of those. Hit delete. Yes, all right. So it looks like these 2 need to be concentric. All right. This linkage is going to go on this side. So I'll mate these two faces together. Hit OK. We need to put a bolt in here so that we can add, or actually we can do it with just, we'll put the bolt in after. I'll make a concentric mate between this guy and this guy and say OK. Now we'll throw the bolt in there as well. So I'll select the bolt and I'll select that, hit OK. Just to be consistent, I'll make the head of the bolt coincident with this guy. Again, please feel free to rewind, slow down, do what you need to understand what's going on here. We're going to take this guy and put it in here. And again, we'll be consistent by making all of this side flush, but I don't know what the reality is on the exam. The key part of the puzzle here is that you know how to set the angles. And I got an extra part in there again, so I'll get rid of that. How I ended up with so many of these. Okay, so now we've got our little scissor piston thing going on, and once again there's going to be a situation where you're either going to need to set a distance mate or an angle mate and measure the opposite. So let's go through and handle both situations. All right, first we'll set an angle. So we're going to go to mate, select the angle option down here, and I'm going to select these two faces. Now that looks to me like a 30-degree angle, which is perfectly fine. Let's expand that and see what 90 looks like. Okay, that looks correct, right? Remember, you can play with these guys if you've got different results, but I think that looks pretty good. So we might want to know what the distance is of that piston from the end of the cylinder, which we can't see. So we could grab our, oops, I don't want to do that. Let's select this face for a moment and then grab my section tool. Just pull that out a little bit and now we can see it. So one method is to simply go in here, grab our evaluate tool and measure from one face to the other face, and we've got our distance. My preferred method, I'm going to get rid of that section view. And oh, by the way, good time to hit the save button so you don't lose your work. My preferred method would be to go make an assembly or make a drawing from the assembly. And I got some issues going on with my templates here. I don't know what that is. So going to go to view layout, model view, select my scissor assembly, pop it in here, and just like we did last time, I could create a section view right in the middle of that piston there, and now I can throw in under annotate some dimensions. And if I hit smart dimension, we know that we set this. This also confirms that you got your angle right. If the exam tells you that that angle should be 90 and then what's the distance on these pistons, you can go in there and determine that. And again, this needs to get set to millimeters so I'm consistent. So I've got 74 millimeters. Just to remind you, we could set the distance and then determine what the angle is by going back and making some quick changes here. So let's do that. I'm going to minimize this for a second. I'm going to go in there and get rid of that angle mate that I put in. So let me close these up. Come down to my mates. Go down to my angle mate where I can't get down there. What's going on? There we go. I'm going to delete that guy. Now this is free to move again. Now I'm going to go back to my section view so I can see that piston. Hit OK. And now I'm going to go to assembly, mate, and go to distance and select these guys. And let's say we're going to put in 50 millimeters. Hit OK. Hit save. Oops, let me get out of the mate command. Hit save. And then we can jump back to our drawing. Where's my drawing? Here it is. And you can see that the value now is 50 and the angle is 83.62 degrees. So nice to have the drawing as a quick way to reference that you got everything correct. That wraps it up. I know these are two pretty long videos. Hopefully you can refer to these. Maybe they'll help you with the problems in the book as well. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. I appreciate you working remotely this week, and I will see you guys on, I guess, what's it, the 30th is the next meeting. All right, so good luck with this. As always, you can email me at my old line email if you get stumped, and I'll try to reach out and help you out.